Incredible friends. I'm honoured to be here today with Steph Gobraiel and your wonderful host, Edward Zia. How are you today, Steph? What's going on?
I'm great. How are you, Ed?
Really good. I just got to say, loved our chat before we jumped on live. And isn't school holidays an interesting time of business, work, and holidaying? It's all a weird hybrid, isn't it, Steph?
It is. And it's just about, just finding, I guess, that juggle where you've got some time for the kids and then you've got some time for work and then, the day's gone. So the days go really quick.
Ooh, I'll tell you what. Now, Steph, we've done quite a few live streams, and to those watching, if you've just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. Thank you, and totally honoured to have you all with us. And for those that have watched our previous streams, we've spoken a lot about 2023, and this one is the line in the sand and looking towards the future about 2024. And I want to ask you straight up, what are the top tips you're giving to all your clients to have the best year ever in 2024?
So one is actually a post that I did this morning, Ed, about reviewing your content from 2023 and see what you can repurpose. You might need to tweak some of it because things change, but it's a good way to save time and, recreating the wheel from scratch. So then you've got some content already there for some of the months in the year. Another thing I do is like an audit to check, and this is what all business owners should do, like where they're spending their time, in what areas of business and where they're not. So then that way they can really take an objective point of view as to, whether they should be taking some time and spending it in those other areas.
And if I could jump in there, it's funny you say that because I've been doing exactly that, right? The audit, not quite, you've worded it way better than I have, but in the back of my mind, I've been really questioning everything I'm doing. Like, am I doing the right thing? How should I tweak things? And one of the biggest changes that I've made is, I speak to a lot of people all the time, but one of the biggest things that I've made is speaking to less people in a more personal manner. So I used to speak to a lot of people, which is great, and I'm all for selling. One of the biggest things that I found was I was spending too much time talking to not the right people. So what I've done is I've taken all that time and basically, sick of talking to not the right people, I'm taking that extra time and focusing on the right people. And guess what's been a result of that, Steph?
More sales, better,
more conversion.
Better relationship building.
Yeah, because instead of me talking to people that are just dumb or think I'm dumb, right, I'm actually focusing on, such as the people watching, I'm actually focusing on the right people, and I'm selling more with less work. And it feels great, Steph, doesn't it?
It does. And I think it comes back to, Ed, that know, like, trust factor. So if you're investing your time in, the right people, then, eventually you will move the needle, or you'll make progress with that person. Where if you're spending time with not the right people, you're just going to be knocking your head on the wall. So, you've got to reevaluate what you're doing, where you're spending that time, and whether where you're spending that time is the right place as well.
And this is not a nice topic, but it's a very popular topic. One of the biggest things that I've seen is dropping people's very importance. In other words, if you're investing in someone, if they're being mean to you or they're not being respectful, you got to, in a way, just drop people and move on. I found that's really, really important. Can I tell you an interesting story of what happened to me the other day?
Sure.
So I was sitting there, one of our meetups, and everyone was messaging me how fantastic the meetup was. And I'm like, thanks, guys, right? So I was just getting all these messages about how wonderful it was. And thank you. I'm not saying that egotistically. I'm so grateful for that. Interesting, this one person who I thought I was friends with sent me this really long message basically complaining about the meetup and having all these suggestions for it, right? And I was really taken aback because they've been to our meetups before. They've had a good time. They sent this message complaining. And I just said to him, look, I'm very sorry to hear that you're disappointed in our meetups. Best of luck to you. That was my reply, right? And mentally, I'm still connected to the person, but mentally I've just deleted that person, right? Basically, I'm done with them, right? But interestingly, when I sort of gave that reply, I think that person knew my reaction. They sent me this real long message apologizing and trying to walk it back. But the thing that I found is that this person's not even a client. I've done all this stuff for them for our 3 events, and that's the way they disrespected me. You know what? A year ago, I would have put up with it, but I just mentally checked out on them. And you know what? It felt good. I think you got to mentally delete people that give you a hard time. I know this is a delicate topic, but what do you think about this one, Steph?
Yeah, absolutely, Ed. I mean, there's always going to be someone that's not happy or is always going to have a list long of, improvements or whatever it might be. So we've always got to remember that there's always going to be one person that's going to, have that sort of feedback. But I think you're right in the sense that you're not spending any more energy on that person. And, you're focusing your energy on the right people in your community, and you're investing your energy there. And that's something I'll be doing this year as well. I'm not going to be, investing time where people are either not grateful, not appreciative, or anything like that. I think at the end of the day, there's enough clients out there for everyone. And even if it means you're starting with someone that's quite new, if you're getting all the positive, feedback from that person, that's the road you want to go down. You don't want to be spending time on the wrong people. That's what people tend to do when they're new in business, because they don't have that confidence. They haven't learned that, business is not about that. It's about working with people, but it's a two-way street as well. So yeah, that's what I think.
Great response. And just to jump in, we've got a great response from Louise Sparkles on Facebook. Louise Sparkles, great seeing you. Connect with Louise. Agree with you both here. Amazing point. And I agree with you, Steph, because I think one of the biggest reflections I've had, and this is again, I'm saying this is a reflection, but advice for 20. Oh, we just lost Steph. What happened? Oh my
I don't know. I lost you first.
Oh, we lost you. I think what I've always said is the moment you start cutting too close to the bone, streams just disconnect. I've noticed. Yeah, we had a funny one actually, just as a segue. Karen Clark, right? My friend from Brisbane. Yeah, Karen Clark.
Yes.
Anyway, what happened was we were actually talking over Zoom, and her connection was working perfectly. And then she started talking about freedom, thinking independently, not following the establishment. And then immediately her Zoom connection broke.
Oh, no. Wow.
So she literally had minutes of uninterrupted. The moment she started talking about freedom and thinking correctly, bang, the Zoom connection broke.
I was on, actually. I was watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're all laughing, saying, "Oh, this has got to be what's the whole deal? The moment you think independently, the establishment doesn't like it." So the running joke was, if you ever talk about freedom and independent thinking, your stream will break. Our tech overlords don't want that. Yeah.
It will probably, it will cut off. Yeah, I've seen it happen. So I could appreciate what you're saying. We don't know who's listening at the end of the day, do we, Ed? We don't.
There we go. How dare you talk about free thinking? How dare you? Got to do what you're told. Do what you're told to follow the establishment. And it's interesting, actually, because one thing I was thinking of, because it's interesting. Hey, Justine. We've got Justine with us. Justine, we love you. By the way, if you just come in, please smash that like, share, and comment. Connect with Steph and myself. Steph's an amazing lady. It's interesting, actually, because when I was just working, and this person that gave me a hard time about and it was just a minor point, by the way. It wasn't like anything fundamental. They're actually picking on a venue issue. It wasn't even my fault, right? It's just basically a venue issue, right? Nothing to do with me. Anyway. And so they're not a client. Our meetups are for free. Everyone's telling me how wonderful it is because it is. We work for it. And this person who I thought was a friend sent this really long message complaining about it. And something just snapped on my head. Boom, snapped. Something just snapped on my head. And I'm like, I'm done with you, and I'm done with all sorts of people like you, right? And then when I pushed back on this person, they were then very apologetic, trying to walk it back, right? They were very much, oh, well, I didn't mean that. You know how someone says something and you get annoyed, and you're like, hey, wait a second. Then they shift the goalposts and try and distort what they said. Oh, yes. You just misunderstood me, Ed. You just suck. The problem is, Ed, you're just really thick and you misunderstood me. I didn't mean that. They manipulate the conversation like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The typical play. Anyway, and something snapped on my head, and I said to myself, I've spent too much time investing in the wrong people, and I quit. I'm done. And I think when you're working with someone, the moment they start giving you a hard time, you got to sort of change and not deal with them anymore. Tell us more a bit about this topic, because it's funny. I've actually had a few conversations with people that absolutely agree with this. I'd love to hear you go a bit deeper on this one, Steph.
Yep. So I definitely think that it's a boundaries thing as well, Ed. And you're right. If you start to see things that are red flags, then you can't ignore it. You've got to, take it on board. And, if you've worked with someone that's difficult, you sometimes need to cut the rope, or just, slowly find a way to call it, call it a day. And that might be giving them some notice and just saying, look, I think this has reached the end of this, working relationship. And then you just work towards that time, and that's it. And, most of the time they will be in agreement, because they would know it as well, right? But with your situation, Ed, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, the lesson is, I'm not going to take that from, anyone that speaks like that to me in 2024. And that's the light bulb moment you've got to take away, right? That you're able to understand what the lesson is. You looked past what happened, and you were able to understand what that lesson is, and you're going to try and carry it out into 2024.
Yeah, because what it was is, it's not some, and you're spot on. And Louise Sparkle's got a great contribution. And by the way, connect with Louise Sparkle over on Facebook. We love you, Louise Sparkles. She says this: hello, Edwin, Steph. So often we can invest in people not truly aligned. I've done too much of that. There can be a level of resentment that starts to form. We need to stand in our confidence and worth. And yeah, it's funny actually, because when I got this comment, it was just so out of line, right? It was just so out of line, so unexpected. And when I snapped, it wasn't just at this person, right? It actually wasn't at this person at all. To me, it was kind of like, perhaps I upgraded my boundaries. Perhaps I learned a bit of a lesson. But then I said to myself, you know what? Going forward, I'm not taking people like, not just you, but I'm not taking people like you anymore. I quit and I'm done. And you know what? I just felt so free afterwards, because then I started to realize I've just spent so much time in 2023 investing in the wrong people. What do you think of that one, Steph?
That's an incredible, business lesson to come across, Ed, because, as you said, I don't think every person is going to be, an ideal client for you. And there is enough, clients for everyone out there. But more importantly, there's this one saying that tends to stick with me, and that is new level, new devil. So when someone sees you succeeding, or when someone sees you, achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve, it's their own insecurities that are reflecting on you. It's not about you. And we've talked about this, right? And you've said this to me in the past, in 2023. So I think it's a real reflection on them. It's not a reflection on you, but they're putting that onto you, which is something we're not supposed to do. And again, I think when people see that you're becoming more popular, or you're running popular events and all that sort of thing, there's always going to be someone out there that's going to have that insecurity that will try and put it on you. But that new level, new devil is definitely something that has stayed with me all through my 5 years in business.
Oh, and Louise Sparks is with us. Louise Sparks, we love you. And sorry, I said Sparkles. It's Sparks. I should learn to read. There you go. Louise Sparks. But Louise Sparks, you sparkle. It's actually a cool name. Louise Sparks, you sparkles. That's actually a cool name. Louise Sparks says, ooh, new level, new devil. I love that. So that's very cool. And it's the other saying as well. What is it? Empty hands become the devil's toys. There you go. Sounds a bit biblical, mind you, but I think it's good. Louise goes, I often get called Sparkle. Okay, so my error is a common error. There you go. But it does say Spark, so I should learn to read. And Louise also says, boundaries are key in all relationships, love, business, life, and community. And Louise, this is the interesting post that Louise put up. Thanks again, Louise. And if you just come in, like, share, comment, tell us what you think. Louise Spark says this: I broke up with a client recently that wanted to cancel meetings last minute, or call 20 minutes into a session they were late for, asking to reschedule. Light bulb, my skill is not value to move on. And I agree with that, because I think, and likewise too, if I hire someone, right, I'm very respectful to them. Right? I'm very respectful of them. Oh no, we've got the zombies coming in. Is that your daughter charging in to storm the room? That was it.
She was tempted, but has changed her mind. So
Your daughter's a smart lady. She knew, oh, I better not screw with mummy on this one, right? Screw okay. But yeah, I think one of my biggest things, and I say this to everyone, is if someone doesn't respect you, it's time to really not necessarily end the relationship, but maybe increase the distance between you and them. Because, for example, with this person who gave me a hard time, I didn't remove them as a connection, but I instantly unfollowed them everywhere. And if they book into one of my events, fine, but I'm not going to go after them anymore. So even though I'm still connected to them, I've really, and this is the thing is, you don't have to fight with people or block them and create big issues, albeit feel free to. Sometimes all you got to do is saying, you know what, I'm not investing in this person anymore, and just create a bit of distance, because I find every moment you're investing in the wrong person, it's robbing you from investing in the right person. That's been my big thing.
Yeah, absolutely, Ed. I think that is such a critical lesson, and not everyone is going to be, the right people for your tribe, right? So I think understanding who is and who isn't is a really important lesson to take forward, because then you don't want to be attracting people like that, into your community and into your circle as well. So very important lesson.
Yeah. Now, Steph, I want to ask you, right, we've had a great chat with lots of segues. Keep going with your monologue of what people should do in 2024 to win big and win so much.
Yep, planning again. I think that's really important. You can get in the car, but if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to go anywhere, right? So I really
you can get
think
stuck
planning
in traffic and rack up a lot of tolls. You can do that too.
That's right. But you're not going to know, and you're not going to have the focus, and you're not going to have, you're not going to know what you're going to be working on, essentially. And I think that's what's so important about the planning, because it will stop the procrastination, it will stop the overwhelm, it will stop all of those horrible feelings that we get when we don't have a direction. So I think planning is really important, coupled with the fact, look at your content from 2023. What can you recycle and repurpose and reuse? That will save you time. That's something that's really important, right? Time is such a valuable commodity. It's more than, the currency. It's the new currency, I genuinely believe. So if you do those sort of things and really think about what you want to achieve and write it all down, I think you can find a path to get to it. You can get from A to B if you know what A is and what B is at the end of the day. And you can work backwards. It's not to say, there's only one way of doing it. It's whatever way that works for the person and for their business, because we are, at the end of the day, all very unique and different.
Love it. And got a few great contributions as well. Actually, on Facebook today, there you go. We've got Sushrita Despande, who a lot of people know as Miss Sushi. Amazing lady, Miss Sushi. Make sure you connect with a big social media influencer from Singapore. She goes, let's win big. Much love from Singapore. And Miss Sushi, we love you. Louise Sparks made a funny remark. I'm planning right now. Confession, was distracted by your live. You've done nothing wrong, Louise. This live will enhance your planning. This is an investment in your future. Don't worry about it. And Louise Sparks makes another good point. There you go, Louise Sparks. Louise Sparks is in the zone. The whole top, what we're talking about, it's like dating. If your diary, it's actually a good point. I love the way it's framed. If your diary is full of dates with the wrong people, you don't have space for the right ones. And I think that's, to me, one of the biggest of my 2023 experience. I spent too much time focusing on the wrong people. And I find that when you start really moving, or when something's not right, you start to naturally back off on the wrong people. Then you focus on the ones that matters. That's what's really important. We've got Elizabeth Carroll with us. Elizabeth Carroll's an old friend of mine from the chamber. Good seeing you, Elizabeth. Great seeing you, Elizabeth. We love you, Elizabeth. And Miss Sushi then reacts saying, right ones are right here. Exactly. And Louise Sparks, you are amazing. So, Steph, it's been great live streaming with you again. Just before we go and wish all our wonderful fans to it, can we just get some closing thoughts from you, Steph Gobraiel?
Sure. So we are already halfway through January, or almost halfway through January, which is
Good.
Q1. If you're
Good.
following, the new year quarters, and if you haven't started anything, now's the time to plan, because it's still a little bit quiet before things get crazy and really into the year. And
Fantastic.
and make sure you do something for you, because I think that is one of the most important things that I'm taking into 2024 as well, is that we've got to look after ourselves in order to show up for our businesses. So don't just plan for your business, plan for yourself as well.
Oh, I love it. And Kevin Kelly said, definitely sound advice for the distancing part. I think, our next live stream, Steph, we should do one just trashing toxic people. I reckon we should do a toxic people live stream. And we'll just dunk on toxic people for 20 minutes. What do you think of that?
We could, but is that going to be a great, use of our time, Ed?
Okay.
I mean, we could talk about
Yeah, everyone will love it.
talk
No,
about
we'll
the
get heaps of
lessons
views.
that we've learned from toxic people, but
No lessons, no value, just telling everyone how bad they are. No, we'll bag them, we'll dunk on them, as well as get some lessons out of it too. So there'll be 50% dunking on them plus 50% valuable business insight that meets LinkedIn standards.
sounds like a plan.
There we go. Oh no, Louise Sparks says, haha, toxic people live, it will go viral. Oh, there you go. Of course, toxic, viral. Damn, Louise, you're smart. There we go. And Miss Sushi's got some LinkedIn badges. There you go. I haven't got any yet, so there you go. And Steph, you got a LinkedIn badge. What's your LinkedIn badge? I haven't got one yet.
I've got a few. I've got business strategy, top management, decision making, and there's one more. It's not coming to me.
Best looking, most powerful, best martial artist. No, it's funny. The only badges I got is a premium badge, which I pay for, and a verified badge that anyone can get with a passport. So I need one of those top badges. I need a top badge. You know what I want? Top badge, bagging toxic people or dunking on top. I want a dunking on toxic people badge. That'll be awesome.
You should ask them about that, because you're close enough to them, right?
Yeah, I'll go message Neil from LinkedIn right now saying, oh, Neil, how are you? He came on Friday, by the way. Neil, how are you? Great, Ed. Oh, can you get me a toxic person badge for LinkedIn? That'd be awesome. I want a toxic person slam dunk badge. That'll be awesome. I'd love that. There we go. and Sushrita, Miss Sushi says, you're very many good people, Edward. Love your work. And Louise Sparkles, Louise Sparks. God, learn how to read it. It's Sparks and Sparkles. Wow, more badges than Girl Guides. Yeah, we'd be like a Girl Guide. Like, you have that sash and you have all your LinkedIn badges on you, Steph. You should do that. That'll be funny. You should do that.
I don't like to brag, so it's just it's there, and if people go into my profile, you got to click on the badge to see everything. But then it's not just about getting the badge. You've got to actually consistently be contributing in it in order to keep it, right?
No, it's about getting the badge. Once you got the badge, you can retire champion, right? No, we know that that's not true. It's funny, actually. Lassie's got a badge as well. It's funny, you're right. Once you get one of those top voice badges, that's when the work begins, because if you say one wrong thing or don't contribute, they'll yank it off you quicker than anything. So,
my other badge was entrepreneur, Ed. That's what it was. My other badge that I couldn't remember is entrepreneur badge. That's the one.
I want Toxic Avenger. That's my badge. I want Toxic Avenger. And my badge is a little, the biological hazard symbol. Ed's top badge, Toxic Avenger. There we go. That was a horror film from the 80s, I think. Crappy horror film. It was like a comedy horror film, Toxic Avenger. There we go. Anyway, enough about crappy 80s horror films. Thank you so much, Steph. You're an inspiration, and I'm sure you're well aware of that.
Thank you, Ed. Right back at you, right? Like, it's working with the right people. That's what it comes back to. So.
And just quickly, got a great contribution from Sushrita Despande, also known as Miss Sushi on LinkedIn. I celebrate it's good advice. Actually, I'd love to hear your reaction on this one, Steph. I celebrate my achievements. It's not bragging. It's self-love and sharing such information as we educate and motivate others to get those badges as well. What do you think of that one? Because again, it's not bragging. I agree with Sushi. It's not bragging. you're using it as a way of motivating others, aren't you?
Correct. But as we again, yeah. So yes, we need to celebrate our achievements because that's really important. But then you see, it's not an achievement and that's it. There's this consistency of, keeping those badges. So that's why I don't like to really put it out there that I've got, like 4 or 5. I'm just doing the work in the background. Because the day that I put all of them on LinkedIn, the one will get yanked from me for whatever reason. So I'm just like, I'm quietly happy doing my thing in my corner of the earth.
You've got the LinkedIn most humble badge. You put, oh, look, I'm more humble than you. There you go. Well, actually, I guess we've got a few heroic characters. And we've got Janine Lopez in. Big word to Janine Lopez. She's your doppelganger. Hey, Ed and Steph, from the Central Coast. Oh, wow. Yeah, off the Central Coast. My connection here is in great hope you've been well. Janine Lopez, amazing lady, connect with her. And we've also got Busi, Matsuko, and Dan from New York. Busi, connect with Busi as well. Very good. Louise Sparks reacts saying, Toxic Avenger, you need a cape. That's a good point. And Kevin Kelly obviously has similar taste in 80s horror films like I do. And he goes, yep, classic flick, lol. So Toxic Avenger, great horror comedy film from the 80s. And just so you know, I'm into horror comedy films from the 80s.
And please, anyone watching, connect with me on LinkedIn. I would absolutely love that. And yeah, I'm happy to, support, business owners, like-minded people in business as well.
Amazing. Oh, and just before you go, Steph, how's your membership community? That's almost out, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'm doing a lot of work in the background as we speak to try and get it up and running. And I'm hoping mid-Feb it will be live, and I will be doing marketing for it. But it is all about accountability, goals, productivity, and community, really. And I will build on that as time goes on. But that's what I'm starting with. So, yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, everyone. Like, share, comment. Thank you, Sushi, Janine, Busey, Louise, Kevin, and everyone for your contributions. And Steph, I know you're a busy lady. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Ed. Have an amazing afternoon.
See you, everyone. Awesome, everyone. Love your work. Yeah.